This is Designing with Purpose, where we break down the thinking behind architecture for clients, for architects, for better projects. I'm your host, Kyle Stewart, talking with the team at Thrive Architects about what actually drives great design. Let's get started. Hello, everyone. Welcome back to Designing with Purpose. I'm your host, Kyle Stewart. In the studio with me today is Associate Principal Angie Streckenbach with Thrive Architects and Firm Principal Jeremy Bartlett. We are talking all about designing wellness spaces. So everything from doctor's offices to spas to orthodontist office to dentist office, all those spaces that are so important, and you may not give them a lot of thought when you're a patient, but the way that they're designed is extremely important for helping to reduce your anxiety on the way in and also helping you figure out where to go when you're there. So we're going to get into all of that today with Jeremy and Angie. It's great to have you guys back with us. And you guys do a lot with the healthcare industry. And so we wanted to take an episode to talk specifically to kind of this niche of design. So Jeremy, I'll start with you. Why don't you just kick us off with what does it take to design a wellness space well?
Yeah, I mean, if we start from the beginning with a client, we sit down and go through their program and the details that encompasses. But a lot of the medical clinics that we do, a lot of the spaces that we design, they're actually kind of similar, right? Dental offices have all the same general program requirements. And same with like a doctor's office, right? It's usually arranged around it's patient centered. And like you mentioned, the big thing is when you come to these spaces, there's a lot of like tension or anxiety, and so the design is really imperative in that it needs to be something that's calming and soothing. But also these are medical spaces, and they need to be clean. The environments need to kind of give off that I'm coming to a space that I'm safe and secure, and it's clean and warm and welcoming. And that's really where we go when we're laying these out throughout the design. I think some of the examples that we'll look through today here kind of demonstrate that, all in different ways, of course. And the first one that you brought up here on the screen is the good dentist. We've done a lot of dental clinics, and this one has a really modern and sleek design to it. Again, clean, home-like, very the lighting sets the mood in this space. We have vaulted ceilings, which is pretty unique in a dental office, but you're always looking up at the ceiling, right? So why not make the ceiling interesting?
Yeah.
So I mean, that's just kind of the basics in a nutshell.
Yeah, this is great. Well, I mean, looking through the window up here, it kind of almost looks like you could walk out, onto a nice patio there. While you're at the office, so makes it feel a little more home-like. Angie, how about for you? When you think of wellness design, what's the most important element?
For me, it'd be the wayfinding, and I think that's where our anxieties start when we go to the doctor, the dentist. Is how am I going to get there? How do I know I'm in the right place? Who am I talking to when I first walk in? So in a single storefront setting, knowing where the entry point is, and when I walk in, making sure that it's clear. This is the reception area where I'm checking in. Larger medical office buildings or multi-tenant buildings where you have to kind of navigate your way through from the parking lot is a whole nother aspect to try to get you there. And a lot of times that's, simply signage, but we have to be cognizant that our patients start in the parking lot from that perspective. But then once you're inside too, feeling safe in the waiting room, it's clean, it's organized, but it's also comforting. And then when you're back in the clinic spaces, behind those doors that you see coming out of the waiting room, that how to get your way back to the waiting room and out the front door again. So part of that is talking with the staff and understanding the patient flows and the staff flows and how they handle check-in and check-out processes. So it all becomes very important to the initial design and how the space lays out.
Absolutely. Yeah. I've definitely been to doctor's appointments where I had a difficult time finding my way back out. And when you're done at the doctor, that's really all you want to do is get out of there as fast as you can. So I can appreciate the focus on helping people get in and get out as they need to. When you're designing these spaces and you're working with clients, is the wayfinding aspect, I mean, a lot of people tend to think of design as how it looks and feels, but the wayfinding aspect is extremely practical and helps it from a business standpoint too. Does that something that clients naturally think about, or do you find that you have to bring that element and make sure that gets talked about from your perspective?
I think both directions happen semi-equally. So, like I mentioned, if it's, just a storefront or a single standalone building on a property, it's not probably top of mind for the providers to think about or worry about from the design perspective. But maybe if we have to navigate through a building or inside of, even if it's a single story or a storefront of strip mall type of a thing, to make sure you know where you're headed, it might be a little bit more concerning.
You touched on it, Angie, earlier. When it comes to the flow and the wayfinding aspect, you're not just designing for the patient experience, but also for the employees that work there. So
Yeah.
this picture shows a little bit of that kind of the back office side of things. How does that come into play when you guys are designing these spaces?
Yeah, not the prettiest of photos, but it captures where the staff works, right? So, in a lot of cases, we have to look at how many times the staff has to walk back and forth, whether that's the nurses, the doctors, what have you. How many times are they walking back and forth from the front desk to their nurse station, to the lab, to the patient rooms, and how that crisscrosses and how many times they're going round and round and round. And can we centralize some of those functions? And in this case, we could, in the space where this, in the lower left corner here, it's kind of their lab area where the heart of the operations is taking place behind the scenes. That's directly behind the central front desk area. So that can kind of all happen centrally. So it minimizes a lot of that extra steps that have to take place, which just gives the providers more time with the patients and more time to be more efficient in between. So they don't have to walk as far. And it really does make a difference when you're laying out the spaces, how they're doing their jobs too, not just the patient experience, but from both sides of the operation.
What are some of the, we've seen some pictures of different spaces and you guys do different designs within the healthcare industry. What are some of the nuances between some of the different types of healthcare you've designed for, whether it's dentists or doctors or spas or whatever? What are the different things you guys have to think about?
I think everything has, every type of use has a few niche components, but they are all generally the same in that they're treating a patient and you need a room to do that treatment. And so that part, along with the reception and the lobby area, all again very, very similar. Now you may have an outpatient building or project where you have perhaps an X-ray area, or you have an area that you're doing a surgery. Uh, that could be something that's very specific to that user. The same could be said in a wellness environment. They sometimes have different treatments that are, I guess, not necessarily always customary in the medical profession, but might be unique or different in the um, the new modern practice of medicine. And so you're creating just a variety of different spaces for specialty treatment. But beyond the specialty treatment, the components are all really the same. So it's interesting how a dental office is very much like an outpatient medical doctor's office. So
Yeah. What about like the aspect of privacy? Are there specific things that go into that as well? Because that's obviously you want to keep things private, whether it's with staff or with patients.
Yeah, that comes up every single time in a medical or a dental facility because obviously we have HIPAA laws that are in place. So the staff has their procedures they have to follow from that perspective. I don't know how many spaces I've designed from a healthcare standpoint that's been asked, how do we keep the reception desk private? Because you have to give them your date of birth and your name and all of this stuff, right? And that's HIPAA. So we have to consider that. But at the same time, it wants to be open.
Yeah.
So
Right.
you
Open and
kind of
welcoming.
have to balance those things in the design and kind of have the real conversations of, okay, well, what are you allowed to say that somebody else can hear, right? It's similar that you can leave on a message, right? So those things, it just has to go into the procedure of the check-in process sometime on their end. It has to just get talked about as the client themselves. And we are there to kind of help navigate that, and how those procedures then play into the check-in process and what that looks like on paper. But also, I mean, I've gotten down to, in this picture, you see like the door hinges. I've done medical spaces where they want, full hinge so that there's not a chance that when that door opens, anybody's going to look in. So the privacy goes from the front desk to the patient room for sure.
It's
Yeah,
important.
you're thinking about where doors are aligned. You're thinking about sound control in the walls and in the ceilings.
Sure.
You're thinking about ductwork and how the sound control happens in the ductwork. So, we have a ton of experience with kind of mitigating how noise moves through the space.
Yeah, there's a lot to think about. So you guys obviously have been doing this for a long time. You've done, things like senior living as well. You've talked before about how that's kind of evolved in terms of how it's designed, and how has the healthcare industry and architectural design kind of evolved since you guys first started out?
Yeah, it's gone from very clinical, very sterile to being more open to warm and welcoming. A lot with messaging too. And that's been done not just with like backdrops like that you see behind a reception desk, but even with technology. So perhaps you sit in the lobby and you have a video screen and it's playing or showing various images, or sometimes it's showing. We've had it where it's showing medical advertisements, so it can be a variety of things there. So the lighting has changed a lot. LED lighting has really been a game changer as far as the spaces are concerned. Technology as far as materials, I think that material selection, a lot of that now has properties that kind of kill germs, kill bacteria, and so using the right materials that are bacterial resistant is a big change. What else, Angie? Any other things?
I think the sounds in the spaces and the colors in the spaces too have changed, creating more, like you were saying in the beginning, a cozier but clean environment, whereas it's less sterile.
Yep. Yeah, we've had spaces where we've designed in noise canceling to reduce any sound transmission. So you could have open spaces now, and you can install noise canceling systems that kind of knock down conversation between one room and the next room.
Yep.
So technology is pretty awesome.
Yeah,
Yeah, it
pumping
is.
in even just music on a very low level too. That's kind of helps with that privacy and the sound transfer as well. So yeah, it's keeping up with the technology and the designs too.
Yeah, absolutely. So, don't have a lot more time, but I know you guys have designed some pediatric clinics. that are geared towards children. So tell me, what's the most fun project you've had in the healthcare industry?
Most fun. Yeah, I don't know. Pediatrics is fun. But most fun, that's an interesting one. I personally like the dental clinics the best. I think that we have a lot of fun in those. You there's a little more leeway in those types of projects because you're not necessarily following like the life safety code, which hospitals are kind of under. You get a little bit more freedom because you're just under the International Building Code in those environments. And then some chapters, a little bit of OSHA standards and things like that. But so those environments I think have a little bit more freedom as far as what you can do and what you can play with. But yeah, I don't know. Angie, what are your thoughts?
Yeah, I think most fun ones. Oh gosh, I think like the PT clinics and that sort of like anything where there's action and activity that you kind of have to design around, because you can design you design the flooring with the use of the space, and I think that's kind of fun to tie the finishes into the actual function. That can be a lot of fun sometimes.
I like the jigsaw puzzle of the clinical part of it. Like if you have a surgical room or something like that, there's an awful lot involved in those. And there's a lot of technical things that go into it, like, space, the appropriate space for the doctor and whoever's assisting the doctor during a surgery, and where they have to move tables, where things have to get stored, how things get moved, what monitoring equipment they might have in the room, how you transfer a patient into the room, how you transfer a patient out of the room, what happens if there is an emergency, how do you evacuate the building. Some of those technical things are actually a lot of fun from a design standpoint. Probably not anything that the end user ever thinks about, but
Sure.
we get to get into the weeds on that. And I don't know, I guess I kind of geek out a little bit.
Fun problems to solve.
Yeah.
Well, that is all the time that we have for today. But just to kind of tie this back into a previous conversation we had a couple weeks ago, a lot of these can be considered local businesses or small businesses, and kind of goes back to your philosophy too of helping small businesses and local businesses succeed. They're a vital part of the communities that they're in, and so helping them succeed through great design, making their patients feel comfortable, is what you guys are all about, whether it's making it feel home-like and welcoming, or helping people be able to find their way in and out of the building, which I value, as I've already said. So appreciate you guys, as always, sharing your perspective, some great thoughts on designing for wellness. And thank you, all of you who have watched this episode. Leave your thoughts in the comments. We'd love to hear about any questions that you have or future topics you'd like to hear the team at Thrive talk about. And we will be back at you again next week with another episode of Designing with Purpose.